Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. Surprise. um we are back. I'm doing an impromptu live for because we did the live yesterday, but I didn't get to finish viewing the what's it called? Viewing the interview. And I was just like, I was going to watch it for myself today, actually. And I was watching it, and like immediately, as soon as I turned it on, it was. It was more stuff. It was just like more stuff. And I still was on the fence, like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to try to, do another live and finish watching it with everybody else. I'll just watch it for myself. But then, like, some other stuff was brought to my attention. Um, Nick Cannon, an interview with Nick Cannon. I believe that interview was from a few months ago, maybe like the beginning of the year or the end of last year, actually. And I was just like, okay, this actually coincides with a lot of the stuff that I was seeing. Like a lot of the stuff that I was perceiving in what Abby was talking about, I was seeing kind of mirrored in the stuff that he was saying. So, like a lot of my takes in terms of when she was talking about how she had one set of intentions for how their relationship was going to be, and then how he was just kind of like, oh no, it's deeper than that. And yet, and still, her not being able to really kind of rest in the relationship as a full blown relationship. I don't know. Hey, Mara. It just was like there was a lot of stuff sticking out to me. So I wanted to come back in and watch the rest of it, but I also wanted to watch this a part of not his whole interview, but a part of Nick Cannon's interview that was just like really highlighting a lot of the stuff that I would, like I said, was perceiving in Abby's interview. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the intro, and then we can get started. Okay, so yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll start with this. There were a couple things that Abby was saying that just made this interview stand out to me. So I'm going to pull it up. This is an interview with Nick Cannon. Let me see when this was from. And I stepped back. Not. Calm down, Nick. This was from February. So yeah, this was in the beginning of the year. Um, Let me share it with y'all. Hey, Denise. How are you? Welcome. Got me doing a little extra something today. I'm not coming on camera because this was impromptu. I wasn't planning on doing this, but when the spirit hits you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this. What's it looking like?
Allowed that to happen, and now that person has flourished and is carrying on and has an
Yeah.
amazing relationship.
Yeah.
So I understand
But
that,
are there financial
of course, but
Yeah.
hopefully I'm dealing with strong enough women and you know well-minded in the sense to where they were never really in it just for financial
No,
reasons
of
anyway.
course not. But if
So,
they've gotten used to a certain
but if I buy a
lifestyle,
house
yeah,
and you feel like you need to have another man in your life, that man, I got that house. That house needs to become you and that man's house,
right,
no longer my house.
right.
So whatever financially, however that has to happen, hopefully you've chosen a man that can now do the same things
Well,
or better
so
that
they're
I could
not
do
going
for
to
you.
do that. Like, I'm
Well,
just
that's their
putting my,
fault.
So that right there, that hey everybody, LB, Tiff, that right there is number one when we're talking about the financial stuff. So like when we watched yesterday, Abby was saying that she what had she gotten that far yet? I don't know if she had got that far. I know we're going to see some stuff about that today, but I just want you to keep that in mind. And like the thing where he's saying, oh, well, I hope that she got somebody who can take over the house. Now, mind you, I'm not somebody that feels like, oh, well, a man should be able to move in and like Nick Cannon is paying for both of their bills and both of their lifestyles. I'm talking about if any of the women were to get with another man, like in a serious way. It's not that I'm saying that, I feel like he should be paying their bills, but it's like, why are you paying? I don't know. I'm just kind of like, why are you buying houses that you can't like just outright buy? And so you basically, it's like they're on a payroll. And for me, it's kind of like if you can't just outright buy these women these houses to the point where you actually have to be financing the houses, then that's not something that I feel like you can actually afford to do. Hey, Alicia, welcome. I feel like that's not something you actually can afford to do. So what you're saying is you're taking on all of these things under a contingency that I will pay your bills and I will support you as long as you are available to me. That's red flag number one. He speaks more. Hey, Sphere. He says some other things as we go on. So I'm going to shut up because I want us to kind of be able to get through this. I don't want to be on too long, but I'll take as long as it takes because I really don't have nothing else to do. So hold on.
But what about for your kids? Like,
Well, that's not.
wouldn't you like say to this mother, for instance, that we're talking, I don't know who we're, just hypothetical. I bought you this house for stability for our child or children. I'm not willing to commit to a monogamous relationship with you. I know that's what you want. I have put together what the child needs financially. You can have this house, go on, and we'll co-parent together. And I mean,
I've had some fine examples, and I'm gonna give you my ultimate goal is to be in scenarios with women, specifically the mothers of my children, where they are so financially stable that they don't need me
Yeah.
and that they can make the decisions
Yeah.
that they want to make. I want to build a woman up in a space to where, one, I don't want you with me just because of my money or what I
no,
can do with you
never.
anyway. Then you're not really with me.
Yeah.
This is a business arrangement.
Well, they're not really with you for your money. They're really into you, but you're not willing to commit to them. So it's not that they don't want to be.
So therefore, that goes all the way.
That goes back to what I was saying yesterday, where like polygamy in and of itself, it can be fine, I think, in theory. But the problem again is, like I said, that people enter into these situations or trap people in these situations when their ulterior motives aren't necessarily about freedom and being sovereign unto himself. When I'm hearing him saying, he's talking about children's mothers, mind you. There's never a scenario in which I hear him talking about just dating women and being with women without children being involved. Like, I get that technically he kind of paints it like, oh, this stuff is just kind of happening. But as Abby, if anybody that hasn't watched the video from yesterday, the way Abby painted it was basically like the children was more so of a want for him. Where now she could be lying. She could have wanted babies and then just painted it to seem like, oh, she was just kind of ambivalent about it. But it sounds like, going off of her word, that he wanted her to have his baby, which is also interesting because in the video of the interview with her from 3 years before now, she was saying that she was in a relationship with somebody who was pushing her to have a baby, but it wasn't a good relationship. It was an abusive relationship. You know, it was an unstable relationship. And so it was a one-sided relationship. And so it's just really interesting to kind of see how he's talking about women who he clearly wants to have babies with. It's not like he just, thank you, Alicia. Thank you for everybody who's liking the video. It's clear that he is wanting babies with these women. He doesn't just want to date these women, and he doesn't seem like he wants these women to... I'm going to keep quiet because he's going to kind of bring it home for me. So I'm going to go back into mute and let you watch some more of this.
All the way back around to the process of what I believe I have to offer, whether it's physically, spiritually. Like, I know I can feed into you, and you can feed into me, so it should be a fair exchange.
Yeah.
So it's to say all of that. If it's not, again, if there's a void, if you are unhappy in any way, you can only define your own happiness. You can't be seeking it through me. So, and I have these conversations on many levels. So, but again, because I'm going back to this dickmatized thing, which I was, because that's probably the one thing that
you're dickmatizing them on.
So if I'm having intercourse and it's compatible and the chemistry is great, hopefully you're not desiring it from anyone else.
So you caught that, right? He's saying if the sex is good enough, hopefully you don't want to have sex with anybody else. That doesn't sound like freedom to me. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't sound like polyamory to me. It doesn't sound like somebody who's like, hey, I want to come with you and we do whatever we do, and then when I'm away, you do whatever it is you want to do. And that's what what's the child name? Abby was saying, actually, that she was saying to him, like, hey, you know, we can be free. She kept saying, I like the freedom. I like the freedom. I wanted to be free. And I was saying to him that we're coming together and we're having the time that we have, but then when we part, we do whatever each of us wants to do singly. And she said that. He was like, no, I don't. How can you say that? But again, how is it that this man it's very clear to me that he wants these women to be all about him and only him? And so now I'm kind of confused. I mean, I was confused before, but I'm even more so confused as to where the freedom is coming in on her part. Now, I did start watching some of the part of her interview that we didn't get to today, because originally, like I said, I was just going to watch it myself, but all this stuff was just too good. I had to kind of share it with you guys and get you guys' take on it too. But yeah, it's not, the math isn't math thing.
And in that sense, because of the processes that we've taken, and once we start and it's clean, we both know we're healthy and clean, and we start with condoms, and this woman is like, oh my God, there's a connection there. Then you want to get even deeper with the connection. So then you're like, wow, we've been doing this protected thing, and it's amazing for 3 to 6 months. And then life happens. You start spending the night over the person's house. That, you know, before it was like, I come in, I have the condom, we know where it is, it's on the bedstand. But then now you're taking showers together. Now you're waking up. Now that the condom is way in the other room,
gets left behind.
For me specifically, or if someone is on, you know, some kind of pill or whatever those processes are, those things, then it becomes, oh, well, I'm on a pill, or I have an IUD or whatever. And then it's like, okay, then it's more casual. Then then it's a stronger connection, obviously, because now you trust each other differently than you did.
Well, why don't you ask them all?
So he's basically explaining how it goes from, even if it is starting, because I know that I've been there, where you talking about, oh, you know, yeah, we're using condoms at first. They're more than likely they're not. And I can say that, you know, as someone who's been guilty of that. But let's just say for shits and giggles that they are using condoms in the first, like he said, 3 to 6 months or whatever. And then all of a sudden, quote unquote, his words, life happens. and now you're just kind of living with the person. My question is, when does he have time for it to get that casual? Like, when do you have time for the relationship to blossom in such a way where you guys are spending that much time together, where you're saying you just kind of naturally fall into a pattern of just having sex whenever and doing whatever? Because you have to be everywhere. All these people are pregnant in overlapping times. So you're not just spending, even weeks at a time at these women's houses or with these women at your house or whatever. You're not doing it along with working and doing all that. There's no way. There's no way in hell. But we're supposed to believe that, life is just happening in seven different states, in 7 different households. Like, unless he is literally one of those people that can split themselves, like on the movies and X-Men or something, where he could split himself into a bunch of different separate hymns. What are we talking about?
All to get on birth control. And so are you saying that
think
some
a
of the
lot- I mean,
pregnancies,
some of them are.
so were most of these pregnancies unplanned?
How to see well, you're walking me into dangerous territory, Doc.
Yeah, you don't have to
I'm
answer.
never going to say that. This is what I say, because
Not that they weren't the most
I'm
wonderful
going to
surprise.
take full responsibility. Any woman that I know that I have unprotected sex with, it was the potential to have a child.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I have unprotected sex with anyone, I know, because one, I value everything about me so much that I was like, if I've gotten to that point where I can say I could take off this condom, I'm saying then she could be the mother of my child.
Boy, and your boys can swim, because you just like
they
they come
quickly.
out there. Yeah.
So in that sense, I would say.
So he's sitting there basically saying, like, because he cares about himself so much, if he feels like he would even potentially be able to get her pregnant, like to have sex without a condom, if he would even consider having sex without a condom with this woman, then he's already of the mindset that she would be acceptable to have his child. Again, I'm still trying to go off of like the stuff that Abby was saying and everything, where these are supposed to be such deep connections, right? So you're telling me that you are having such deep connections with how many is it at this point? 5 women? You have such deep connections. Like I said, maybe a week or 2 here and there. I still don't know how you are having these, like he was describing how the relationship goes from just kind of being we're dating to, now we're just so comfortable with each other that we're no longer wink using protection. But there's no way, like I said, that you're spending weeks at a time with these women, even into, yes, it is an impromptu live, Jazzy, welcome. There's no way that you're spending enough time with these women for these relationships to just organically progress in the way that he's trying to make it seem like they're going. And even when Abby was talking yesterday and she was trying to talk about the timelines and stuff, I know that talk. I've done that talk. You know what I mean? As a woman who has moved too fast and had kids with people and stuff like that. Now, my first baby was literally just me just being irresponsible and with a practical stranger, or pretty much a stranger. Like it wasn't a one night stand type of thing, but I did not know him. I had just met him, within that month or whatever, and we were having sex over the next couple months, and then I wound up pregnant by maybe like month 2 or 3. You know what I mean? But when it comes to my second child's father, like I thought I knew him, but I knew him in high school, and then we were grown, like well into our adulthood, and then I started dealing with him, and I got pregnant way too fast, again within a matter of months. So I'm speaking as someone who knows the talk, who knows the lingo, who knows the vibes. You get what I'm saying? It's not what he's trying to paint it out to be, and it wasn't what she was trying to paint it out to be.
Say every woman that I have a child with, there's definitely been conversation about, wow, how amazing this would be. And I feel like every woman that I have a child with are amazing mothers. And there was a thought process in going to like, man, she would be an amazing mom. Or, yo, she's desired children. Oh, I can't wait to see what type of mother she would be. So in saying that, I would say that they're all planned.
And what do you do at holidays? Can they all come together?
First, this is the other crazy thing. Going back to Valentine's
I really
Day,
want to bring them all together.
No, but
Please.
I hate holidays. Probably because of this process. But even growing up, I'm never.
He just said and I don't act like I ain't catch when he said, so in that way they're probably all playing. They were playing. On his part, they were playing. He's saying he doesn't like holidays, and he's like probably because of this process. And I think he's talking about the process of like all these kids, all different places. I guess the fuck so you don't like it. Like, how you've positioned yourself and these kids, like, what is it going to do for holidays for these children is what I'm trying to figure out. You know what I mean? Because no matter what you doing, Halloween is going to be on the same day for each one of these kids. How are you, you know, how, and I remember he was dressing up with Mariah and Moroccan and Monroe. So how are these kids supposed to experience that as well? Like, I just, ooh, it's making me mad. It's making me really angry.
For like I come from a understanding and probably a little too what do they call it? Like where this faux neo-intellectualism where I'm like, I hate anything that's established by the government.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
hate
It's a
holidays.
Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna use those terms. Pagan holiday, it's a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah. You've used that?
And but that was used on me as a
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
You know what I mean? From like my
Did you not have Christmas and things like that?
did, but it
Yeah.
was told that like this isn't the real meaning of
Yeah,
Christ,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this
Well,
is
yeah.
Jesus was actually born in September. Like about like
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
things. So growing up, I would hear those things. So then I started to regurgitate them and then be like, I don't like holidays. And I love the fact that they bring families closer
Yes.
together.
He wasn't saying that mess when he was with Mariah though. I distinctly remember when it was Mariah, oh, we're getting together. First of all, that was the holiday that was feeding him. Let's not play because, you know, Mariah's the queen of Christmas. But they was dressed up. They had on the matching PJs. It was everything it was supposed to be. So I don't know. I don't understand.
Together. But now they become stressful for me because in trying and attempting to
why can't they all come together?
I think all my children can come
Oh,
together.
have they not?
Yeah, my
Yeah,
kids,
kids
and that's
come
no
together.
one has ever said that I can't be impressed.
But
Well,
the women won't come together?
Yeah,
I mean, let's take Mariah out of the frame.
Yeah,
like
'cause she ain't
she
fucking with nobody.
no, she's not
She
coming together
lives
with
in her
anybody.
castle.
Yeah, in her beautiful castle in the sky, and she's a queen.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
But the other ones, why can't we bring them all? I would be in such ecstasy
I've
sitting
tried
down
it.
with all of them.
I've
And what
tried
happens?
it. Some are more reluctant than others. Some are all of them beautiful spirits. Some are more headstrong than others and don't want to be, looked at because it's all about perception and therefore ego. Because no one wants to look like if you allow society to define it, then it makes some people think it's a weak.
So now he's making society the problem. Society has a problem with it. And my thing is, well, they don't care about having the baby. You know what I mean? Like, forget about society looking at them crazy for coming together and doing like they still look crazy. So I don't feel like it's just that. And I'm sorry, like when a lot of the situation too is very reminiscent of my second daughter's father. Like Nick Cannon is my second daughter's father with money. Basically, like he was this type of person that is just like, oh yeah, it's so deep, it's so meaningful, it's so real, let's live in the moment, blah 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 blah. But you're making kids. It's like you're making kids. And mind you may say, well, how did you get involved? Like, where did you come in to it at? When I got with him, he had 2 sons. And by the time I had my daughter, both of his sons were 5 years old. We did talk about this. Like when I was dealing with him, I said, well, how did that happen? Because mind you, that happened. He was out of state. He didn't live anywhere near me. We weren't, talking. I just saw that unfolding on Facebook at the time when it was happening. And I asked him about it. And he said, well, I had somebody, hey, Hakama, how are you? I asked him, how did you wind up with 2 kids that were the same age? Because again, me just kind of seeing it from Facebook, it was one of those things like, is this really what I'm saying? And then, okay, like, how did that happen? So he said he was with his one baby mom, like that was his girlfriend or whatever. And then they broke up, briefly or whatever. He went out, had a one night stand, and then the other girl got pregnant. Now, while we were dealing with each other, I never saw anything to suggest anything different. He had the one baby mom. Neither one of the baby moms actually dealt with him that much. You know what I mean? It was never any problems. And the one baby mom, I don't even think he really had any contact with her. So my point is that by the time that me and him were dealing with each other, his kids had a couple years in. They were like 4 years old when we actually started talking to each other. And by the time I had my baby, his sons were 5 years old. So it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, I know him. I know he seems like a good enough person. That type of stuff happens. We were a lot younger then because I had my youngest daughter when I was like 28. So I'm like, okay, he was in his early 20s. You know, stuff happens. So now I have my baby. I caught him like talking to people online while we were dating and early in my pregnancy or whatever, confronted him. He's like, oh no, I don't want to do that anymore, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. By the time I was 8 months pregnant, like I caught him in like, it was the second or third person that I caught him like talking to. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not doing this with you. I see what this is. I'm going to go ahead and cut my losses, which was fine. By the time my daughter was 4 months old, the other girl was pregnant and she's going to the family cookout. And you know what I mean? So he's one of the people just, but between her getting pregnant, there were like 2 or 3 other women that I knew of from Facebook is what I'm saying. So he was doing this stuff publicly is my point. You know what I mean? And it was always this thing, oh, it's just this connection. And I just knew her in another lifetime. And he making it into this big old thing is what I'm saying. So that's why I say like Nick Cannon is my second baby father with money, because the way Nick Cannon is moving is very similar. It's like, okay, you're meeting these people. And at least in Abby's case, because she's the only one speaking up, she seemed like she would have been okay to just kick it with him. And even once I got pregnant and I started feeling like weird vibes, I was telling him, look, we don't have to be a couple. I value your friendship enough that I'm okay with us raising this child as friends, but we don't have to, like, I don't want you in a position to like violate that if you can't be monogamous. And he was like, no, I want to be with you. I want to marry you. He's putting it out there that we're getting married. People are contacting me, congratulating me. I don't even know what they're talking about because he put it on Facebook. You know what I mean? But at the same time, then he's like disappearing for weeks at a time during my pregnancy. Like it was just very weird stuff. So it's someone that's saying certain things, doing other things, but also seems really, really hell-bent on having you be there. And that's not cool. Like, that's just really not cool. Oh, thank you guys. You know, it was, trust me, it wasn't nearly as bad and nearly as long as my first one. Because I went through the stuff I went through with my oldest daughter's father, I was more mentally prepared to say, okay, I got to cut my losses. But in the case of these women, like he's their only child spot. It's hard. I think the first time around, God, I hope, you know, people don't go through this multiple times, but I'm just saying like that first time around was so hard because it messes with your sense of identity, because there is so many unspoken rules that are being breached in doing this. And I talk about those, you know, emotional, mental, societal landmines that go off once you're in this position of, oh shoot, now I am a used woman. Now I am a liability. Now I come with a ready-made family. Men aren't going to what, there's all these things that you don't think about, that you're probably not even consciously thinking of, that are now running your decision making now that you position yourself to be connected to this person in this way. And I know that those are the things, and we'll see it when we get to the rest of Abby's interview. We'll kind of see that in play.
A weak thing. Some people think that it's almost a grotesque thing.
What their position?
Yeah.
In your,
so
in your life?
they look like they don't
see that.
Others may. You know what I mean? If you start to pay attention to what's
no, but I'm just talking about like them with each other. Can't they come?
But that's what I think. They probably have
They
their
judge
guards
each-
up, and
yeah.
that's I kind of deal with this on a daily basis because I challenge the ideas of like why, like it takes, and that's what I did for a few months.
Yeah.
Take sex off
Yeah.
of the table. Why can't I have a companionship or a friendship
Yeah,
with this
friendship.
person and this person and this person, and we
Yes.
all coexist?
Yes.
Like, what is it about us not being able? Like,
It would be so much easier.
I have
if you
friends
didn't
from
have
all the
sex
way
with
back.
them.
Yeah, and you know, I can do that. I offer that up all the time. Like, all right, we just not gonna have sex.
No, if they're not going to say yes to that, you have to.
And then it's
decide
like,
that.
if you're not having sex with me, then and that's where it got to is like, well, you're lying. You're not. You must be having. You're just not having sex with me because you want to have sex with me.
Yeah.
And then
But like because you have these romantic and emotional and physical connections with these women, you haven't shifted from being in an actual relationship, sexual relationship with them, to being in a co-parent friendship with them.
I've tried it. I've tried it with everyone.
But you can't just try it by saying, I'm not going to have sex anymore.
Why not?
You have to try it by saying, I want to change the nature of our relationship. And
but I mean, that comes with it because if like
permanently.
And it's easy to say, look, let's just focus on our child or children.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening, like, oh, you can do it for a year. And like, man, we've been co-parenting great for a year.
Yeah.
And then one good night at Nobu and the sake gets going.
And you can't help
I mean,
it.
I don't drink, but
Yeah.
I think, but it's just whatever, that chemistry, whatever allows those endorphins to start flowing and you get on a
So
higher.
you can't.
This nigga's talking about endorphins. This is the stuff like it, and this is where that whole thing of a man has to lead you gets really, really scary. Because at the end of the day, he's not holding, building, or maintaining any boundaries. The way he's talking about it is like, oh, it's out of my control, endorphins, connections, I tried. So if you are a woman who subscribes to letting a man lead, and this is the guy, and mind you, all the men are saying, hey, he's a good man. Like when people start talking about Nick Cannon, he's a good man. He take care of his kids. He got money. He's a high value man, blah, 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 blah. So he is the type of guy in these men's eyes that's supposed to be able to do this type of thing. They don't put him in the same category as a future type person because he's going around and cradling baby bumps and saying he's so proud and using all this flowery language. They're saying that this is a good quality man and that, this should be okay and this should be acceptable and sought after. But it's clear that this man is not, again, establishing and maintaining any boundaries. Everything is loosey-goosey with him. So these women are, I won't even say they're in danger. The worst has actually happened when it comes to these women. He's led them astray. It's a used woman. That phrase breaks my heart. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, sharing your story, and helping other women. Thank you, Alicia. I try. He is a terrorist. He is a terrorist and a predator. Erica said he's a dweeb with money, signaling to other men that desirable women want him, and he plays the fantasy and love bombs and offers lifestyle in exchange for a bit. Yes, and like I said, I feel like the way that it's done and the way that it's being done and the way that I'm seeing it laid out here is you're dating him, especially between this one and Abby talking. You go into the situation, you're in these circles, you catch his eye, he catches your eye, whatever. I've never found Nick, even in his heyday, I never thought he was that guy, but he isn't unattractive. But you're attracted to Nick Cannon, he's attracted to you. So now you're just like, hey, we can date. I know your situation. I know the way you get down and everything. I'm all right with us just dealing with each other and keeping it casual. And here he goes, oh no, the connection. How can you be so callous? It's love, it's universe, it's destiny, it's like those are the worst kinds. Because again, when you being a realist and you saying, hey, I'm willing for whatever reason, whether it's through damage or whatever, but you're just saying, hey, I'm willing to deal with this guy on in a more casual way, him pushing that idea of, oh no, it's a connection, we're together, blah, 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 I want to kind of read some excerpts from my book, which really get into that mindset. It says, fully understanding what makes you tick will give you insight on how or why you tend to be so gullible when it comes to your child's father and maybe other people as well. It'll also help you to clarify your intentions, making it possible for you to frame your intentions in the positive instead of the negative. This is still in the book. I'll give you an example. I felt that I would only attract low quality men because I was damaged goods and had baggage. So I assumed my best bet was to not waste my time trying to get anything but penis from men other than my daughter's father while waiting for him, the father of my child, to decide to marry me because he should already have had a vested interest in my child. But that kept me extremely limited as opposed to me setting the intention of putting myself in the best position possible to attract a kind, caring man that would embrace both me and my child emotionally. Now that's important because even though we're speaking of like after the baby comes, but in the case of Abby, where it says like, you got to clarify your intentions. Abby was in a bad relationship and she got out of a bad relationship, and she was in, like I read that part before where I said you have to be careful not to let yourself be influenced by anyone who benefits more from you staying the same. Abby was in a position where she needed to rebuild structure in her life because she had come from an abusive relationship where her boundaries had been demolished. Her boundaries had been, compromised. And so she was in a space and time where she needed to first heal and then rebuild. And I feel like she hadn't even scratched the surface of the healing. Because even if you watch the video, she was saying, oh, I broke up, and she's doing that talking. But she was speaking of it in terms of, I still have work to do. And if we're going off the timeline, I don't remember where I saw it, but they said like you need at least 3 times as long as the relationship lasted to heal from the relationship. That's what, I've seen that multiple different places. She said she was in that relationship on the interview. She said she was in that relationship for 4 years. On the interview with Shan, she was saying 5 years. So my point is, she hadn't even scratched the surface of the healing part, let alone getting into building the boundaries. And I know her boundaries weren't built because and we'll see it tonight, but when she was talking before what we watched of her and Shan Booty, you could see she's kind of speaking in terms of, oh, well, he's kind of setting the tone and he's kind of telling her what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And he's suggesting, let's do this and let's do that. Because she's literally saying in at least 3 different instances, oh, I thought we were just going to casually date. And he says, oh, no, it's deeper than that. And she says, okay. And then she gets pregnant and loses the baby. And it's just like, oh, I guess that's it. And he says, oh, well, let's try again on purpose this time to have a baby. And she says, okay. And we're going to see when I start watching the rest of that interview, you're going to see some other ways that she's basically letting him lead her, which is what men will say women are supposed to do. But how are you supposed to do that and be safe and have a good outcome when it's this type of person that is leading you astray and positioning you to exploit you? So, I mean, it's really wild.
Can't resist either.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
a lover.
you are.
I'm a hopeless romantic. You put me in the right environment with someone I have a child with, and I watch you be an amazing mother. Of course, I'm attracted to you.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help but not. And then if you're
Well, you don't
attracted
have
to
to
me,
act on the attraction if you
how do
know
you
it's
not
going to
act on it?
complicate things later.
Everything, life's complicated.
Well, so then
It's complicated already.
I'm sorry, that just burnt me up because he knows exactly what he's doing. What she just said, she said you don't have to act on it. And I used to say that all the time when it came to my oldest daughter's father, because like when inevitably we would wind up having sex again or whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to be together, and he comes back with oh, we're not together, where are you coming from with these expectations? I will always be like, well, why are you doing this? Like, why do you keep coming back to me? Why do you keep wanting to have sex with me if you don't want to be with me? What's going on with you? And he would just be like, oh, it happened. I just can't stay away from you. I just can't be around you and not want, like he literally said that to me before. I can't be around you and not want to have sex with you. Just basically like it's out of my control type of thing. And then what that did eventually, when I really grew up and took responsibility for myself, I was just like, well, look, if you can't control yourself, I don't want to be around you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me feeling like, oh, I can't control myself either. I don't want to be bothered. I don't know who can relate, but in my younger days, sometimes I had sex I didn't necessarily want to have because I just didn't feel like being pressured, because I was tired of fighting them and they just weren't going to stop. And I'm not saying it was like that every single time. And I'm not saying I felt necessarily like they were going to do something bad to me physically or something, but it was just that wearing you down type of thing. And it really got to a point where once I put the pieces together, I'm like, well, if you're not going to control yourself, I'm not going to subject myself, and I'm not going to be around you, and you can't be around me. You know what I mean? But then it's, once you get to that point, it's, oh, well, the children, you're keeping me from my, but like, there's always something to circumvent or what's that called? Subvert your boundary that you may not even fully be aware why that boundary is there for you. She said, coercion, that's how boys are taught to get access to sex. Right. Yeah, she is so lovely and so calming. I just love, like, everything just makes me feel like there's sunshine and warm breezes when I watch her stuff. It's out of my control, that lack of self-control, that's scary. Yeah. She said it felt inevitable. I wouldn't say yes, it did feel inevitable, but it was more so of a feeling of like, there was that part of me that wanted to be together. It was a lot of things working at once, like I said, because these guys, and that's why I say he is grinding my gears so badly, because there's these guys, they know what you want at the end of the day. Like, it's clear, and it'll be even clearer when we watch later what Abby has to say, the rest of her interview. Abby still wants a relationship. She wants a monogamous relationship. And he knows this. And like I said yesterday, I feel like it's that her going in, trying to be a realist and saying, okay, this is the type of animal I'm dealing with. And then him kind of subverting her expectations and saying, oh no, I want a connection. I feel like we have a bond, blah, 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 blah. That's playing into that fantasy that she's not really acknowledging, you know, a shadow side of herself, that she's not acknowledging and honoring that wants monogamy, and saying, oh, well, maybe I can have it, and maybe I can have it with him. And so he's playing on that and drawing her along, but she's seeing and feeling that, okay, this is not really what it's going to be. It's wild and it's deep. Erica says, I'm sure a large percentage of women have been worn down into sex. Yeah, and it's really sad the amount of times, like, I can now, when I say in my sober mind, can think that I did it, you know, because I was just like, oh, he's just not going to leave me alone. And it's a shame. Like, one time I remember I went and was, me and my best friend were sharing an apartment, and she was in one room with her baby father and her daughter. And I was in the other room with my baby father and my daughter. Well, he would come sometimes. And I remember one night he came and he was just, you know, wouldn't leave me alone, wouldn't keep his hands off me. And I was just like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. And then, you know, we wind up doing that. And something in me was just like, just lay still, just don't even move. And I stopped and I just laid still. Like, I'm just not even going to participate. If you're doing this, you're flat out doing this on your own. And he was just like, I like it when you fight. Come on. Like, it ruined it for him. You know what I mean? So it's weird. It's really, really weird. And I'm not saying that's what Nick is doing, but I'm saying, like, just that it's clear that he's playing those manipulative mind games with these women. Said they prey on that, your desire for the perfect family. Yeah. LB said, I had a mini whole phase after being SA because I was like, if people can just take it anyways, why not? I think Nick could have had me in the harem back then, but I would have been kicked out. No, baby. Right. You'd have just been on the outskirts, because I was so sad when I saw the brown skin one, the one that just had the baby, because she was around a couple years ago. I think she was one of the women that got one of those the group Valentine's Day package. But I think she kind of fell off because she wasn't feeling it. But eventually she came back. You know what I mean? And I know he had to play on that. Oh, our connection is so unique. It's so special. And each one of these women, you can't tell me that each one of these women aren't feeling like, oh, you know, at the end of the day, and he's going to say something too, that I know he's implanting that as well, but they're feeling like, if I hang around long enough, our connection is so super special that when he does decide to want to be with one person, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Already, and we're not having sex. Might as well enjoy ourselves. like,
I really want to get them all together. And
they admire you.
You would be in deep trouble.
No, because I'm so open and honest.
If they all became friends.
No, I think that'd be amazing.
It would be amazing, but they would probably.
That would challenge all of society's idealism.
That's my fantasy.
He keeps trying to make it about society, and it's pissing me off. Like, it's not society. They want to be with one person. They want you. They want to be with their dad, with their child's father. Ugh.
Is that we get them to be all friends.
None of them have problems with each other.
Yeah.
They're such strong-willed women that they're not worried.
Wait, now what's going to happen now? Because when I was on the show, Marie Osmond was on there with you, and she was saying she was going to fix you. Like, you call yourself single.
I mean, what would you call me, Doc?
I would call you polyamorous, in a polyamorous relationship right now.
No, because in order to be polyamorous, everyone has to agree.
Well, they all are agreeing. They're just not agreeing to be with each other, but they're all agreeing to be with you, and they're all agreeing to know. They all know.
I'm in a relationship with all of these people. Because then if that's the case, what defines the relationship? Sex?
Sex. Yeah, sex.
So then I'm in a relationship with everyone I have sex with?
Well, not if it's casual sex, but if you love them, you're romantically
So
involved and
if I
sexually involved.
love and have sex,
If
that's a
they're
relationship.
emotionally and physically involved.
It's the acting dumb for me. Like, oh, so I'm in a relationship with someone if I love and have sex with. It's like he's purposefully trying to say, oh, well, we can have these relationships without sex. It's not about that, but he's weaponizing it. He's doing it in a way like, oh, we won't have sex, but he's saying like, they're like, oh, but you're gonna have sex with other people. But yet, like, and again, it would be bad enough if he was doing, like, it would just generally be fuckboy behavior if it was just the women, there were no children involved. But you're purposefully impregnating these women. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to convince me of anything else. Ain't no way all of this is just kind of whoopsieing. You are creating a situation where these women are feeling like you have a specific special bond. This isn't just like, oh, we're messing with each other and we're having a good time. That's not enough for you. And that's the part I used to hate too, because like, when I would deal with my oldest daughter's father, there were times where I would just have sex with him, and I would just have sex with him for all the different types of reasons that women do. It's like, oh, he knows my body the best, or, oh, I don't want my body count to go up, or, whatever. Just different reasons that he just happened to be the beneficiary of my attention at that time, my sexual attention at that time. Okay, cool. But in those moments, I would be on some stuff like Abby was saying, like, look, I know this is just sex. I know you don't want to be with me. I'm totally okay with that. We're grown-ups. I just want to do what we came here to do. And then we go our separate ways and nothing, it's cool. Because that's fair, isn't it? And in those moments, there would be this disappointment in him of like, no, this isn't the same. They want you to want them fully. They want you to be invested in them. It's not, they don't like it when you're just like, oh, I just want to have sex. And that's the same thing. I'll probably show that clip later, where that comedian guy was talking about, there's a lot of women getting dropped off and stuff. And like, my problem with people who want to deal with people that they know they don't want to have and they don't want to keep, these people want to keep you. These people want to be in a relationship with you. These people want to be chosen. And there's plenty of people in the world. Like, some people lie. Some people will lie and say that they want to do it. But in this situation, this isn't just the women, pursuing him and lying on him. You can tell by his language and the way that he is painting the situations that he is facilitating a fantasy within these women of what this is. And yes, it is one-sided monogamy, because he's talking about if they got with someone, this type of thing. But if I'm meeting their needs well enough, they shouldn't want to be with anybody. But you're never going to be able to meet their needs well enough. Not in this situation.
Okay.
Ongoing. Now, if it's a friend you love and you have sex with them once, that's a friend relationship. But if you have someone who you are, friend with benefits, but if you feel that deep connection, you're co-parenting together and you're being sexual together, that is a relationship.
So then that should be defined as polyamorous because it's multiple
people that you're in.
I come from the understanding to define me is to confine me.
What is not single to you? Married?
Married is not single. When you allow the government and paperwork to come in and say, this is a bond, this is a covenant that is honored amongst multiple people throughout the land, you're not.
And other than that, you're single.
Or you can still make covenants without getting the government involved. You can make a covenant and just say where two people say, we choose to be monogamous because we value this so much that we don't want anyone else to be a part of this or intrude this energy that we have. And I just don't feel like that's healthy. I don't feel like monogamy is healthy. I feel like
monogamy is not healthy, but this is healthy. What he's doing is healthy. And again, I want to emphasize, if you took all the kids out of it, like, it would be distasteful, but this is diabolical. This is just, he is fucking so many lives up. So many lives.
That gets into the space of selfishness and ownership.
Well, it can, and it does, and it sure as hell doesn't come naturally.
So I feel like my ultimate goal, or not goal, I just feel like my trajectory in life is, I'm 41 now. As I continue, be the best father I can be. And as I get into an older age, that I'll probably just, like, whoever's willing to put up with me.
That'll be the one.
That'll be the person sticks around.
Whoever's still standing.
Because every relationship that I go into, and I usually have this conversation up front. It was like, you're gonna leave. I mean, you're gonna get tired of my shit, like eventually. And hopefully, by that time, we've had some great experiences, some great memories, and you're a better person than whoever comes after me.
So you expect everyone to just fail. Why do you expect that?
Because look at this scenario. Who wants to put up with me for a long period of time?
Well, these women clearly are. You digmatize them.
So he's saying to him, he's saying out loud that like he knows that nobody's going to want to put up with this for a long time. Why are you making kids with these people then? And again, like I said, based off of what Abby was saying, based off of what he said, he's doing this on purpose. So basically, you are trapping these women. You're trapping these women with these kids in this emotional, mess of, it's not just about sex. It's so special. It's so unique. It's so this. It's so that. Oh, yes, I could see you having my baby and you'd be a great mother and blah, 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 blah. And so now they have this baby and now they have these babies and it's hitting them, internally, even if they're not letting it come to the surface of their consciousness that, oh, shoot, I'm kind of stuck with this dude in a way because everybody ain't going to want me the same way. I got a baby. I have his babies. So, I really got to lock this down. It's basically like he has an army full of people who were where I was of that. Oh man, I had this man's baby. Well, I got to make it work with him. I got to try to stick it out with him and really give it to college go. So now they're going to be putting all this energy into trying to be with him and hoping because quote unquote, he's so honest and they can't own him and he's his own man. So they're basically going to wait around and hope that they'll be the one that he picks when he's tired of all this. Sickening.
But you mean once the digmatizing's over, they might
or like, but even to that point, because they get so frustrated and they break out. Aww. And it's happened every time.
And do you tell them from the beginning that you're not going to be monogamous?
Yes.
Okay.
I think at this point, if everybody you know who knows. Nick Cannon is, he's probably a lot about me in that sense of like, I'm the guy your mom warned you about. Like, stay away from that.
But you're
dude.
So sweet.
But that's like
the oxymoron.
I say this all the time. I am a better friend and companion than I am a boyfriend relationship.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, I'm very grateful to be your friend and companion.
Exactly. See, you get to see this.
He's nobody's friend. He's nobody's friend. And that's the thing. And I had to learn that too, because that was stuff my baby father would hit me with. Like when I would be in a strong enough space to say, okay, I'm not having sex with you. I'm not even gonna be around you, but so much, especially when I be trying to pull away altogether. Like I don't even want to be around. Oh, we're not friends. We're friends. We're not friends. We should be able to be friends. We have a child. You get like, ooh, this is bad.
Side of me, you're not worried where I am at 3 a.m. and what I'm doing.
I can only imagine. Speaking of which, I have to hold your feet to the fire about something. I know I love when you do your little man panels. You know what I'm going to ask you about?
Which one? What did I say?
You said that you are anti-toy.
I am. No, I'm not anti-toy. I'm anti-toy in the room with me while I'm trying to please you.
Okay, so because
first of all, I love the toy. Send me a video with you in the toy. Okay, that's what I'm gonna need.
But when you're there, you don't want her to.
There, because then what you're telling me is this toy can take you to a place that I can't, and it's all about quality time.
Yeah,
because you can use that toy 23 hours.
What the fuck is he talking about? Quality time? Who's getting quality time with him? Who's getting quality time with him? What entity walking the earth or crawling the earth or sitting the earth this right now is getting any kind of quality time with him? Everything is about him.
Of the day, but you choose to bring that toy in when I'm here.
But what if she's had like your average woman when none of your baby mamas are there yet, but they will be when they reach their mid to late 40s. Usually, right. They have a harder time reaching. It has nothing to do with the fabulous penis or technique. They just have a much harder time getting aroused and reaching orgasm.
See, I don't know that. This is news to me.
Stimulation.
So okay, let me be that added stimulation. Let's figure it out. Let's challenge each other to where. And again, I'm such a pleaser to my core. That sounds like a challenge to me. So.
Nigga, challenge your dick to stay in your pants. Like, take that challenge. Challenge yourself to build real intimacy with one person. One person. Challenge yourself to make your time about staying out of vagina and just hanging with your kids. Challenge yourself to that. Hi, Invincible.
So if I'm knowing, and I've actually, because I actually do really enjoy seasoned women. I like older women and have been in scenarios
Yeah.
to where I feel like older women are actually more comfortable and
Oh,
friend
yeah,
with
we
themselves
are.
and can be actually. So I've been in scenarios to where it's like, okay, let's go here, and everything from tantric sex to everything to being doing different things to allow you to reach a different type of orgasm. I'm not gonna get too deep into this, but it sounds like what I've learned is that if something is vibrating, that's
Yeah.
more of a clitoral stimulation.
yeah.
That it's almost like working out. Like it's gonna be repetitive and you're gonna drive you to such a place that my brain releases something.
Yeah.
Where I don't like that type of sex. I'd rather take
You
my
like a
time,
slow burn,
take my
working your
time.
way
Let's
up.
connect. Let's figure out. And again, because I heard whether people.
Okay, so that's enough of that mess. I just I felt like that was really a good something to chew on as we go into watching the rest of the what's that called, interview with Abby, because it sets the tone for, like, it confirmed for me a lot of the stuff that I was saying yesterday. And like I said, I really was trying to go into it with belief in her and, you know, her ability to suss out what is best for her and what is a good thing and healing energy and positivity and stuff. But I was just getting so many red flags of like, this seems like she's being exploited. There are, you know, I'm going to use the word for now until I find a better word. There are weaknesses in her that are being exploited to feed something in him. Clearly, because, and it's just because it's such a clear pattern because of how publicly he's doing it. You know, like you can't help but pick up a lot of data about the situation and the way it's going about. And when you hear him talking about it, like I say, he's talking about it as if these women are like years apart and he's just kind of going around and living his life. And whoopsie, like at this point, you know how babies are made and you know that you're not trying to be in these situations with these women in a real way. So why are you not only just it ain't even just him letting it happen. He is facilitating this. He is wanting it. This is purposeful for him. And he said it before, you know, that because he's sick, he wants to be having all these kids. But oh my God. She said, what? That's not tantra. It's nothing spiritual about any of it. Any of it. Jenny Bean says, that's what confuses me too. Why are people even interested in this story? They're going to be interviewing future next child. I don't know. Oh my God. Okay, so let me go back to Abby. That's not where we were. We were about here.
Monogamous for 5 years.
Okay, so I'm going to. Okay. Okay, so I think I figured out why it is muted. It was playing, but I'm remembering before, like when I was playing it a certain way, and you guys were saying it was having the playback. So I think what I did was I put it in a different window, and that is why it's muted when I mute it, because it's coming from a different window. So I'm going to stop that screen and just do it from a tab instead of a window. For anybody that's going to be using StreamYard, keep this in mind. If you're going to share your screen, share it in a different tab, not a different window, because then it's going to be weird. Yes, let's push for a vasectomy challenge, right? All right, so I'm going to mute myself again, and then I'm going to play this. Let me know if it's muted.
Seen me in such a toxic relationship and in a toxic space that they thought, as long as you're happy and this is healthy, most importantly, because we've seen you at your lowest of lows and we're seeing this new change in you, then we're for it. My family was never.
And were you guys
a
private
worry.
before that? Like,
Oh yeah, very private. I remember even when I put out that I was pregnant, the world still didn't know about who was my children's father or who I was involved with, and I had never let it be known. And then this one Valentine's Day just opened up the can of worms for everybody. Me, another woman in it, two other women in his life all got sent the same balloons, the same flowers, the same
time. And so if someone is consistently honest with you upfront, consistently clear, they meet their expectations. When they are yeses are yeses, that's a yes. When they're no's are no's, it's a no. You can like rest assured on that. And when you experience that over time, you can develop trust. Trust has nothing to do with monogamy or non-monogamy.
Now, don't get me wrong, we're all humans. So Nick is not perfect because there's times where he's been a little hesitant with being completely honest. And I think that that's something that everybody wants to go in and state like, oh, there was honesty. Sometimes there's not. And you are really left in the dust of finding out things on your own or through fake social media accounts.
What's going through your head and how does your relationship dynamic change during?
She said, so you find things out on your own or through fake social media accounts. Wasn't she talking about doing that same stuff in the relationship that she was in prior? And when we were watching it yesterday, we were watching her talk about her old relationship. Was she not talking about looking for things through fake social media accounts and just,
during that time while you're pregnant and experiencing all of these opinions from the world?
Shutdown, complete shutdown. I didn't know how to maneuver through it. I didn't know how to be guided through it. It was only because of my support system, which is, when I say my support system, it's always going to be my sister off top. It wasn't because
sister's here, right?
She is
Yeah.
here. She's behind the camera. She's here. She is my support system, but she was the one that was really like, we got to refocus you. We have to really find some silver lining in this for you, because I was devastated. I mean, I've never been hit with thousands of people just telling me their hate for me or what
And
they feel.
why were they mad at you? Is it because he had a primary partner who was public? A partner that was public, and then you looked like the mistress? Why were they mad?
I think he had several partners at the time, but I feel like just his track record of relationships at the time had maybe been a little bit more intensified. I mean, he had a lover over here that, they were going strong and they've been involved for years. And then he had another beautiful family over here that he has. And then he has his ex-wife, who's the queen of all queens. So people feel so invested,
So did they view you as a homewrecker?
Yes.
Who helped you?
My sister.
Your sister.
Yeah, my sister.
And
And
was Nick able to prepare you, given the fact that he had obviously grown up around this, and then two had other partners who had gone through this?
yeah, no. I don't think that's his responsibility to either, to be very honest. I think he could do so much, and he could tell you like, Nick is a very positive person. So he's going to tell you, oh, just let it, they're all it's just all hate. It's just all people who don't refuse to understand. And it's easy for somebody who has navigated in the capacity in which he's navigated in for years and years. And the level in which he's handled it has been a level that I hope I never have to reach either. So I understand where his positivity was. I need some.
I'm glad that she recognized it, because it ain't even about, oh, he's being positive and this and that and the other. He doesn't care. He wants what he wants. And at the end of the day, if you're getting all of this vagina and you're getting all of these kids, like you're getting everything that you want with very little to no consequences that you feel like you're taking, you know, I feel he's one of them people like, it's a small price to pay that my children are going to have a lot of questions. You know, it's a small price to pay that my children may feel not anchored in the world because this is just a ridiculous situation, but it's nothing he feels like he has to deal with. And gotta go back to the fact that he believes he's going to die early. So it really is something where he is not concerned about the ongoing consequences of his current actions. And I don't think her or any of the rest of these women are thinking about that either. She said this is she's exhausted.
Direction at this point. I need some reality checks in this point, and I was able to get it, thank God, through my sister. But yeah.
So what does it feel like to have all these people telling you what your experience is, what your reality is?
I used to find it so disheartening and just so at times it would make me feel sad. Like, how I'm trying to tell you guys I'm happy, but people want to, I don't know. I'm now understanding what people are saying. It's sometimes really just a projection of what they're going through and what they're experiencing on their own. So I'm sorry you have to mask that you're happy when you're really miserable, because whether I'm laughing and being joyous, people find that to be me hiding, me really being so devastated, me being pressed, or it's almost, it's like a catch-22. Like it's a lose-lose, but at the same time I'm winning because I'm stating my truth and I'm living in my truth. But to have everybody think that there's negativity behind my truth.
It's funny because the ultimate form of intelligence, my husband always says this, is to be able to hold two competing truths at once. And we were having this discussion actually about him not being here for the birth. And I was like, on one hand, I am so happy for you. I'm thrilled and I'm grateful you're getting this opportunity. On the other hand, I'm terrified and I'm pissed and I'm resentful. And both of these truths exist at the exact same time. And one doesn't negate the other.
Yes.
And so what are the two truths of your lifestyle? Because on one hand, it's joyful and it's happy and you consented and you chose this every step of the way. What's the other competing truth that's like, this is the shitty part that doesn't infringe on this, but yes, these are where the challenges lie?
That there's more life after this. Like there's more that.
I wanted to stop it here because this is the stuff where it gets me tea. I want you to really listen to her here. And I love the way Sean did that, because she made space for her to not have to be able to speak the full truth and not just quote unquote her truth, or the truth that she wants people, the part of her truth that she wants people to, you know, focus on, but the full extent of her truth, this is where she actually starts talking about all of it.
This isn't my forever.
What does that mean? Does that mean you're happy in this lifestyle, this arrangement right now? You're pregnant with this person's kid right now, but ultimately this is not your happily ever after?
Yes. Yes.
What about this scenario and arrangement doesn't feel like it would be conducive to your best future self?
That's a good question.
It's an easy question. You have the answer ready to go, but you're like, how do I word this?
Yes, I'm trying to find the right words to answer that.
Because you know what? I had this conversation actually recently with a friend of mine who.
And I put that in the Discord earlier. Like that was the part, like it stunned her because she said, that's a good question, because it makes her think in a way where she can't really kind of try to go, oh, you know, it's a good thing and there's positivity and everyone's looking for negative. It really makes her ask, like, what do you really want that you're not getting? And I think she actually asked her that specific question later on, but let me shut up. Sorry.
Who just got out of a relationship. And it was a really difficult place that she was in, where it was like, I ended the relationship and I'm really happy about it. I love what we had. I know going forward, it's not what I want, but I'm really happy. You can be somewhere and be completely content and see this as a stepping stone without that meaning that this is miserable and unhappy.
Yeah.
So I'm uplifting your, in that of being like, yeah, right now I am so happy here, but I have a vision for myself and I can see why this wouldn't fit that.
How open this is, like on his end. I want to be able to have an open relationship and be happy the way that I am now with my next partner, but I can't. We're going on several kids now. I I want to be able to have a conjoined family with somebody else who has kids, or another person who really will understand my type of lifestyle, because it's not easy coming into this. But oh my God, I feel like I need to answer that question better. Sorry, Shannon, I'm really just thinking about this. So
she made her stop and think. And now that she's actually stopping and thinking, she's having trouble answering the question in a way that she can move past it. She's feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not saying the right thing. Because you were just saying things and you weren't thinking and you weren't feeling. And the questions that Sean is asking her is making her stop and think. I want to read a person. She says she needs to answer in a way that protects his image. No. This isn't about, I mean, it's about him, but it's not about, it's about her too. It's about her image. It's about her identity. I'm going to read something from my book. It says, baby fathers are the biggest beneficiaries of the concept of the bond. It affords them the security of a preferential position in our lives, as well as the prerogative to maintain their autonomy. I also said, I came to realize not that part. It's important to note, however, that all of the responsibility doesn't fall on him. It's common in modern co-parenting relationships for the mother to presume that the father's efforts or willingness to maintain sexual contact with them is an indication of a deeper connection. We as women will go through painstaking lengths to justify having sex with our baby's father, lying to ourselves and causing ourselves tremendous amounts of stress and heartache. To be fair, not all men are deadbeats when it comes to their children. Some men, while fantastic fathers, I'm not saying he is, that still manage to be assholes when it comes to the mother. They might show up on time, provide financially, be steadfast and consistent where the kids are concerned, but he can still take advantage of your unrequited love. No matter how good of a father he may be, he's still a man and will sleep with you and keep it moving if it is an option, unless he has exceptionally high moral character. Sex does not always equal love, and you need to get real with yourself about what is actually going on between you. If he's the type of man you can respect as a father to your children, don't jeopardize your rapport by putting him in a position to break your heart. There's more, but I'm going to just kind of leave it there. She's protecting her own self because in her mind, like I said, it's important to note that this idea of having a bond with these men means that you're not just someone he's playing with. He's not just using your body. He's not just, you're not being played. She kept saying, oh, I want people to know that it doesn't mean I have low self-esteem. It doesn't mean I have low self-esteem. So if he really loves her, if there is really a connection there, then this is not about her having low self-esteem and just playing into a bunch of empty promises. You get what I'm saying? As long as there's a bond, as long as there's a clear, palpable connection between them two, then this is just an expression of love. And that's what she needs to believe that it is. But Sean is making her ask herself, what are the real tangibles of this connection? That how is it feeding you in the ways that you deep in your heart need? And she's having to reckon with, aside from making all this flowery language and pushing all of this stuff out externally to try to paint a picture for all of us out in the world, she has to really sit with these realities and these thoughts. Let me see. Let me go back up. Erica said, Sean did that to Jazzy too. It's a great technique. Open them up, makes for a good interview. Yeah, I don't know why she was saying people were saying she wasn't asking the right questions. But that goes back to people wanting to see, a bloodbath. People wanted to see that woman humble, and that's not cool. That's not cool. Erica says she can't answer her way. She can't answer her way out of it. Like, that's a real question that's focused on her. From here, she's been talking about him, and she's been talking about other people's opinions, and she's been talking about everything but how she really feels and what she really wants. Yeah, and that's the thing. Two things can be true at once. And when you live in that binary of things are either bad or they're either good, or they're either the greatest thing that ever happened to you or they're the worst thing that ever happened to you. And there are a lot of things about having a kid that can be really, really nice. And that makes me think of another part. It's a part in my book. I don't feel like trying to find it because I didn't put it out. But there's a part in my book where I basically say, like, Women are always trying to avoid saying what they regret about having kids. They're always trying to, because they feel like it's a betrayal of the child, and they feel like it makes them a bad mom. And you'll see she's going to say some more stuff about like her motherhood later on. But it makes you feel like a bad mom if you straight up say, you know, I wish I hadn't had this kid, or even because you feel like you have to stop there instead of just saying it outright, I wish I hadn't had this kid under these circumstances. You feel like you're betraying your kid. You feel like it makes you a bad mother, and therefore a bad woman, and therefore a bad person. AJ says, got him. She wants another man that can be her solo with. Yes. And now it's making her think, like, how do I transition from this situation that, as she said, we've got a lot of kids now. So now she's recognizing, like, how am I going to get a man that wants me and all of his children? How am I going to do that? She said Nicole Murphy did it. She keep a man in her alimony. She kept him, but the thing is, she kept a man. They were together for a long time. And I feel like, well, the last kids were just kind of in high school and stuff when they were growing. So I don't know, but I feel like they were together for a long, like she had a full marriage. You know what I mean? She had a full marriage, and she was his wife for a long time. Like she got the full benefit of being Eddie Murphy's wife. And these women are not getting that. AJ said, yes, she's protecting herself as well. She becomes a victim. She's nothing more than a, and that's what I said. That's why I was going through that stuff with my baby father, because I didn't want to just admit to myself, I'm just a baby mama. I was a baby mama temporarily in my mind. I was going to be his wife. I was going to be his wife. She already knows she looks foolish. She knows, but she's not just accepting that. You know what I mean? She knows. That's why she filters and edits, and she couldn't filter and edit this question. She said, she needs to project she had agency and decided to do this knowing everything because it was a project of love. Child. LB says, my mom told me straight up it was too late to abort, but I grew on her. She said another man should have been and that's what it looked. Another man should have been my oldest daughter's father. My first boyfriend that I ever had, you know, my first sex and everything. He was a really good guy, but he was not on the track to go to college. I met him when I was like 15, 16. And I was on track to go to college, and he broke up with me like right before my senior year, because he was just like, you're going to go to college and you're going to meet other people. And, you know, the way I took it was he was man enough to say that I'm insecure and I don't think you're going to want me throughout your college thing. You're going to find new things, new experiences, and you're going to leave me behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be man enough to say that I'm not strong enough for that. And I'm going to release you. I'm going to release you into your life, into your good life, and all the good things you have coming. That was the conversation we had. And I always respected him, you know, from then on. So then when I went to school and I wound up getting pregnant like a dummy, and I came back home, he was like, we were still friends because he showed me that kindness and that respect of me as a person to say, I don't have to possess you and I don't have to position you for me to try to down you, to make myself feel bigger in a way that you might make me feel insecure or insignificant or whatever. I'm going to let you thrive and flourish. And so I always respected him as a friend. And when I got pregnant and I came home, he told me, look, let's get married. Let's get married. You can put my name on the baby's birth certificate and everything. And what I did, though, because he already had a baby by that time that was around the same age or with somebody pregnant. He actually had 2 people pregnant at that time, to be quite honest. But I just was like, look, I don't want to be the reason that you're not taking care of your children. You have children with other people. You know, I don't know how you're going to handle that. I appreciate what it is you're trying to do, but I'm not going to let you do that. You know, we still be friends and hang out and all that other stuff. And the thing is, too, I knew that my mind was still on my baby's father. And so I didn't want to position this wonderful person and good friend for me to disrespect him either. But, you know, that's how it goes. We do dumb things. Erica says, I tell my children that too. I apologize frequently for the choice in their father. I tell them they would have been here regardless, but he was the wrong one. Yeah, it's just like, yo, she is trapped. She's trapped. And her mind is making, you know, trying to create scenarios where she's not trapped. She's, oh my God. That's why it was so sad. And it's crazy that I was saying all this before, because we didn't even get to this part yesterday, but I was saying like something don't feel right. Erica was saying, I tell my children that too. I apologize frequently for the choice in their father. Oh, you said that. I was looking at what LB. She said it hurt a little bit, but I respect it as a grown woman. I feel it.
I'm
You want a
so
sister hug
nervous.
moment?
No. I'm just so nervous because I've had these conversations with him, but he thinks it's like a joke that I'm really in this forever. And I'm like, no, I just see myself, to answer your question, I think I see monogamy for myself down the line, and this won't get me there. But I love where I'm at this very moment, but it's not my forever.
What about?
She said, I see monogamy for myself down the line, and this won't get me there. Truth be told, I really feel like she was in that space. Like I said, she was supposed to heal. And what tends to happen when you are clearing up your energy, you're still going to attract residual bullshit. And instead of her, and this isn't a conviction of her. I'm just saying this is what happens. It's happened to me so many times. That's how I wound up pregnant with my second daughter. And I can understand what she's saying, because my baby, my little girl, is such a blessing to my whole entire family. You get what I'm saying? But ostensibly, she kind of shouldn't have been, she shouldn't have come. It shouldn't have happened. You get what I'm saying? But it was in accepting that it shouldn't have happened that I was able to make the most of my experience with her and not have all this other bullshit with her father attached, because I was able to detach from him and just focus on my attachment to her, which is something that I didn't do with my oldest daughter. And I'm not saying like I'm pretty. She seems like she really cherishes her children, and she can. Luckily, she's in a situation. Money makes a difference. Money really does make a difference with it, because whatever you might be feeling emotionally is always amplified by 100 when the money ain't there. But child, ooh wee.
Your existence informs that truth for you. What are you not getting now that you know ultimately you really want?
I don't think any relationship has it all, to be very honest. And I think that it's a constant work in progress. Your needs aren't always going to be met. Sometimes the respect isn't always there. Sometimes you feel lack of love. I just know deep within my heart of hearts, because I do get so much. I get companionship. I get the fun out of it. I get the sexual satisfaction. I get the emotional satisfaction. But I just know in my heart of hearts that this isn't my forever person.
You know, I know it's not your.
She says she don't get the companionship. She said a couple of things she didn't get, and then she was saying she got the emotional satisfaction. What? Oh.
Your forever without any more information, because I talk to people a lot about this, and it's always interesting how they can describe one relationship with someone so concretely positive, because your relationship is with your sister. She's here right now. It's not perfect. She lets you down sometimes, but there's nothing in you that feels a need to caveat with that.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like when we are in a union that deeply uplifts us and meets the needs based on that connection.
Yes.
And when we're in one that we're like, are there elements? Yes. But there are a lot of other elements that I know are possible for me.
Yes. And I think that's where eventually I'll get to that, to experience all those other elements. And I mean, my parents are still married of 30 something years. I grew up in a 2-parent household, but I do feel like there's so much beauty in my situation now. Again, going back to when I said, I feel like this is transforming me to a better mother, a better lover.
If someone just tuned in for this part right now, there's many babies, not many women. There's many women, but there's only like 4 baby moms, right? 5. I got not good at the math.
There's many women. There's a array of women.
Cornucopia of women.
Yes.
Many children.
Many children. Beautiful children at that.
What would you say?
That being in a situation.
Maybe it was just me, but just the way she was saying it, she was saying very positive things, and I believe that she wanted to just feel those things, but it was another thing where she was suppressing negative things about it. Array of women, yes, and many beautiful children. It just felt very trying, again, insulating herself from her own actual feelings.
situation, or a polyamorous, if you would, if you absolutely need a label in a polyamorous relationship, doesn't mean you have low self-esteem or low self-worth.
So if you were to make a declaration about how you want people to reflect or respond on your life, or even why you chose to be here, what boundaries do you want to put in place, and what leeways do you want to say, here's where I'm welcoming your feedback?
That's where I'm trying to find the perfect balance for myself, just because I'm new to being a mom, but I'm not new to this media world. And I used to tease clickbaits, and now I become a clickbait. So it's wild to see the way that the tables have turned, but I become hypersensitive when people attack me and my motherhood.
Talk your shit right now, Abby. Tell people where you want them to back up.
Just when it comes to me being a mom, I don't even think I scratched the surface. I might show us at a class or two, but me being open in my relationship does not change or take away from the type of mother that I am to my kids, and the wholeness that I am to them, and the strength that I share with them. And I'm excited for my kids to grow up and be like, Mom and Dad, y'all did it your way. And I love that. And I hope my kids could eventually do it their way, whatever that may be, in whatever capacity that is, to do it their way, not the way that the world wants them to do, not to read every textbook out there, but to do it their way, the way that Mom and Dad did. And I would just want people to stay the fuck away from my motherhood. That's it. That's it. Period. Everything else y'all can dabble in, because I love it. But my motherhood, that's something I don't play with. Throw it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the end. She just kind of goes on and closes out from there. But yeah, that was a journey. And like I was saying before, like, she's more so saying that she's hurt by the way people are coming at her motherhood. But it is a thing. It's like, it's the decisions that you're making. And like, I'm trying to find a way to say this, because I don't want it to come off like I'm saying, oh, it's better if someone just straight out plays you. It's all the same stuff. Like, I'm seeing the same kind of tactics being used here, but it's different or it's able to look different because A, he has money. You know what I mean? He has money, and B, quote unquote, he's being honest. That's the word, he's being honest. So everybody knows, but it's like, it's clear that, to me, like I said, she was okay with him being honest about who he was when she went into the situation saying, hey, you are for fun. We're just going to have fun. And then somewhere along the way, now she's found herself with this lifetime commitment that she is grappling with real anxiety that she should have about, how am I going to get what I really want out of love and relationships now that I have found I'm in this situation. And even though, like I said, he is absolutely vile for the way he's doing this and how this is, but this is something too that she's going to have to come to grips with, that she let happen and she walked into. And ultimately, if there was any one particular point where I could say where she went wrong, it was not honoring herself in that time of restructuring her boundaries and figuring out what it is that she really wants for herself and what it is that she doesn't want. And making real decisions about, okay, this doesn't align, because now that she's figuring out that this doesn't align with what she really truly wants for herself, it's too late. And I'm going to say something, and I want everybody to kind of take a breath and realize this is what the men be trying to say, but they're saying it all wrong. And they're coming from it from a place of judgment and trying to hurt us and shame us into just accepting bullshit. But that's ultimately what men are trying to say. Like, you have to be mindful that when you make the choices of who you're dealing with and how you're dealing with them, and what they're not saying is, because they don't really want you honoring yourself, but what the missing part of what they should be saying that they're not really saying is, you need to honor yourself. You need to honor that part of you that says, hey, I think this guy's okay to have sex with, nothing else. And if you're going to just have sex with him. And if you get to a higher state of awareness where you're saying, well, if I can't really trust them, If I can't really trust them to take care of me in every way, then I probably shouldn't even be having sex with them. Those are the conversations that we're not having with ourselves, just like the conversation that Abby wound up having to have with herself when Shine asked her certain questions. We have to ask ourselves those questions. We can't get so caught up in creating this story and this visage for outside people because of what they're going to say about us and this and that and the other. We're going to have to kind of accept that people are going to say certain things because that's the way it is and that's the way it looks. However, we maintain our dignity enough to say, okay, I made that mistake and I put myself in this position. That's fine. But what I need to do is get really radical and cutthroat about tightening up here and now. So yeah, people are going to look at me and people are going to say things, and some men are going to say this and that and the other, and some men are going to think, oh, well, I only deserve this, this and not that. But I need to be willing to be alone. I need to be willing to keep my nether regions dry. I need to be willing to walk the path on my own for a while in order to get my energy right to attract what I really want, because it is possible. I don't think, she said, they don't think about this. All of them think they're his favorite and will be taken care of, but the more children he has, the smaller the inheritance. Yeah. Ain't no way he's making that much money. And it seemed like he always one, slip of the lip away from not, because remember when they almost tried to take Wilden out, he had a fit, because what else does he really have? I mean, I can't say that. I don't know what that man has. And I believe he was really making a lot of moves, because that was part of the way he was able to get Mariah, was making a lot of moves. But still, LB said, my mom told me to remember any dude I sleep with could be my child's father. And if I can't imagine it, she doesn't suggest I do. That's what I'm saying. And there's so many people. I remember like when I used to be just going with people having that mindset of, oh, I just need to have some dick on hand. I just need to have somebody I can call when I want some. I remember that mindset. And I remember, when I was coming out of it and starting to just kind of be like, okay, I don't need to be messing with nobody. It's not a good idea. And started trying to like tell people what I was thinking about the ways that we were relating to people, that we were actually allowing to put a piece of their body into our bodies. But you don't want to have certain conversations with that person. You can't breach certain subjects with that person, or you just feel like, oh, you're talking too much to them. You're telling too much of yourself. You're giving them too much of your opinions and this and that and the other. What sense does that make? There should be nothing off limits between me and somebody that I'm allowing to put a piece of their body into my body. And if they don't want to hear what I have to say and they don't want to relate to me beyond that, then they shouldn't be putting a piece of their body into my body. But there are so many of us, Black women, who are operating in that like that's normal. And so now you have this woman, God bless her soul, that she doesn't think it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Oh, we were just hanging out and it was fine and it's consensual and we were just free. It was freedom. It was free. We were being free. But you ain't free. Now you're all the way trapped. And you can, what were we watching? Well, everybody wasn't watching that thing. It's that thing of like, when you saw her mind getting close to the reality of, oh shit, I'm trapped, she would kind of start breathing a little funny and giggling and, oh wait, let me think. She had to go back in and calm herself down. That stuff is real. That's real. That's that fruit ninja stuff I be talking about. That's the stuff that we're battling every day, all day, while still having to maintain, while still having to provide, while still having to be mommy and be happy and make the memories and make the magic and all of that other stuff. And what I'm saying is, you got to stop the energy that you're expending trying to fight those really, real hurtful, painful, embarrassing realities. You could be putting towards really leveling up. You could be putting towards really putting that energy out there for that man that you really want to find you. You know what I mean? And the longer that she keeps going with him in this holding pattern, the more she's wasting that energy. She needs to take that energy away from him and off of him. She ain't got to be a bitch about it. If he need it, he need it. If he need to be, whatever, that's fine. But she needs to redirect that energy into basically start where she left off at when she diverged from that path by messing with him. Because that's really all it is. We think that it's the end of our lives, but it doesn't have to be. It's a divergence from the path. It's a divergence from the path. She said, I'm curious about what this child. I can't imagine. I wonder if I doubt there is a schedule, to be quite honest. I doubt, because the way he's talking, he just like a fly by the seat of your pants, loosey goosey type of person. So I doubt there is a schedule. Hey, Themis, how are you? You're early. No, you late. You late, baby. We just did everything. AJM said fruit ninja. That's the perfect description for the level of juggling we've been doing. Yes. Everybody say hi to Themis. Yeah, the level of emotional and mental gymnastics that we are doing, we gotta fight off. Like, it was just so sad to see her fighting that realization of, oh shoot, I have completely fucked myself. I've completely and the way she would whisper some of the things, where she was like, you know, she said the level of freedom that he has, when she was like, what is it that you don't like about the situation? She's the level of freedom that he has in the situation. But before she was talking about, oh, I'm so free, I'm so free, I'm so free. But you're not as free as him. And you know this. And you know this. This is it. It's really, really sad. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. It's just really sad. Themis, you gotta go back and watch it. Speed it up, because we were talking about Nick Cannon's baby mom Abby, and she wanted to go on and like tell everybody how in love and happy she was, and then all it took to completely crack that whole visage was one or two questions from Shan. I keep calling her Shan or Sean. I don't know which one it is. It's Shine Booty or Shan Booty. She said, I wonder if he schedules a Zoom with all of them to get his updates. I doubt he can do one Zoom. That's what I'm saying. Like, there was things that he said and she said. These women don't want to be one of many. They are not okay with being a part of a group. In their minds, they have individual families with this man. And even he was saying, LB, I'll be honest with you, this don't help. It's a Shan. It still could be Shan or Shine to me. I don't know. AJ says, I wonder if any of the mothers are upset, regretful now. We saw she looks upset and regretful, even if she's not going to say it. But it's clear Shan rhymes with Pan. Okay. Shan. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. She looks regretful, but she's not in a stage where she's going to read that as regret right now, because it would be a lot for her to be able to say, I regret doing this. And not only that, because she is pregnant again. She's pregnant again. It says Nick Cannon keeps hinting that the women don't get along, and the fact that they want to be the one is likely. But yes, and you're not, and he is feeding that. He is feeding that. He's giving them enough of a feeling of uniqueness in this to make them feel like they have a special bond. You get what I'm saying? Because that is what all of this hinges on. If they don't feel like they have a special bond, then they don't want to be involved. But this special bond is also that belief system of, oh, well, you know, when the dust is settled, he's going to want to be with me. And I don't know if I played that part of his thing, but I'm not playing no more of him. I don't want no more of him on my screen. Where he was saying like one day he'll get old and like somebody will want to put up with him, or somebody. So basically, like when he gets old and he can't do all of this, somebody will just want to be there. And there'll be at least 3 of these women waiting. For every ain't shit nigga out here, there's somebody out there waiting for him to get tired. Yeah. What's that? Would that be Squared? The last one standing. Yep. Everybody, the last one is trying to be the last one standing. And guess what? That was where I was at. I was just like, look, at one point he's gonna get tired, he's gonna want to get married, and I'm gonna be here, and he's gonna marry me. It's gonna pay off. You know what I mean? I do like the fact that she is saying is at a stage where she's saying, I know he's not my forever. Or at least I know this is not my forever, and this is what he wants right now. So I know she's open to there being another man. But I can see that anxiety of, but how is another man really, how can I really seriously envision another man coming in and wanting to take on all of this? And notice how she said, oh, the man will have other kids. So now you've lessened in her mind, if nowhere else, she's lessened her options to, oh, well, he has to have other kids too, because only a man with other kids would understand. You get what I'm saying? So now she's boxing herself in and limiting herself, because realistically speaking, and I'm using the finger quotes, but like realistically speaking, how is a man going to want to come and build a family with you when you already have a full-blown family? You don't just have one child. You about to have three. You about to have three. And like I said, a lot of the stuff that we're learning from seeing the men in the manosphere talk, and that guy, Corey, whatever we was watching earlier, talk, this is stuff that we never heard, but we sensed. And we couldn't quite put our finger on it. We couldn't, we couldn't make sense of it, because that's not the way we think, and that's not what we would do. But we sensed it. And she has all those, even being a preference, she has all those senses too. So she knows, there's a part of her that knows that he did this on purpose. There's a part of her that knows that he wanted her to have his children so that she wouldn't be as quick to say, oh, you know what, this doesn't work for me. Because if he didn't want to trap her, then why couldn't they just have the sex that he clearly wants to have, and have that connection as, friends with benefits, which is what she was saying she felt like this was in the beginning. He pushed more on her. He's, oh no, it's not just that. Oh, how can you say that? Blah, 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 blah. He said the twin genetics is strong in Nick Cannon, which is a travesty because he's giving these women multiple kids. But I feel like that's a woman thing. But with the amount of women that he's having sex with, it makes sense that you're gonna get a few multiples. But I feel like multiples comes with the women. So right, why the kids? She said, I can't imagine anyone wanting Nick Cannon for any reason other than his money. Even then, you have to put up with it. He's the type of person that you think he's so fucking corny that you can't really see him as being evil. You can't, you know what I mean? He's a sleeper cell. He's just kind of like, oh, this goofball. He's ha 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 ha. Nick, come on, Nick, ha ha ha. But so he needs to bound himself to a woman via a child. He's an energy and love vampire. Yeah, and even when he was saying like he didn't, and it's so crazy to me, like he doesn't even want to quote unquote compete, because that's what it is in his mind, with sex toys. She can't have a sex toy because he has to, not while he's pleasing her. He feels like he has to, that's his competition. Well, how are you in a competition where she just wants to be pleased? Oh, because he has to please. It's selfishness. It's selfish. I think it's a rumor, because guess what? When I say nothing, they go, oh yeah, I was dickmatizing this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was all right. I guess it was good, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't all that. And people got to assume that you got good stuff when everybody's letting you get them pregnant. They got to assume you're having so much sex. They got to, I doubt it's that great. I mean, it might be. Sex is really about whether or not you like the person, to be quite honest. Like it's weird, because if you really hate somebody, the sex can be good because you hate somebody. You know what I mean? Like that hate fucking thing, that's a real thing. Or if you're just so enamored with that person, you just like them so much, then, oh yes, just being with, just having them there is intoxicating. And I know by now they all got to be running on, you know, that toxic energy of, oh, I've got his attention right now. He keeps coming back to me. He wouldn't keep coming back to me. All those other women aren't nowhere near like me. He keeps coming back to me. It says, I can't imagine anyone wanting Nick Cannon. Oh, yeah, you did that. Hold on. Erica says, that's why he's doing all of this. He's a cornball. Revenge of the nerd. AJM says, I saw an interview where Nick Cannon discussed his mortality, and he's been through a lot of treatment and still is predicting he won't live long, likely because of what doctors have told him. Hi. Listen, I don't know. I mean, honestly, that's all I got. Like, if ain't nobody, because what else is there to say after that? We've all covered that. Yeah, we're all going to die. Everybody's going to die sometime. You know, like, what else? You don't have to keep doing this. And the thing is, you're going to die. So you're going to leave these kids without a father, ostensibly, if that's what you believe. So these kids aren't going to have even the piece of father that they could have at this point. What is this for? She said he practices like a master. I'm mad if he gets sad. It don't have to be sad, but I thought it's all that mind blowing. You know, skinny dudes tend to have that. No, you know what it is? I know what he's doing. He's making love. He's getting on and kissing and smooching and close touching and loving and oh, I love you and the stars are aligned and oh, this is out of this world, girl. And you know, like he said, well, skinny dudes tend to have that, I guess. So potentially dying prematurely has no justification to be a reproductive. That's what I'm saying. Like, why do you have to keep shooting up the clubs? All the clubs? And then got the nerve to talk about people's pH. You are the reason that people's pH is off. You're the outbreak monkey. You are a petri dish at this point. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of wrap that up, because even though he won't, because I just thought it was interesting, and definitely that last part of her interview was very, really like telling. And just so sad. So skinny dudes, yeah, checks out. And it probably is because, like he said, he seems to have a lot to prove. So I'm sure he's putting in work. I doubt he's lazy at all. So it probably is a good time. But yeah, I don't know. So just, let me know. She said him eventually dying isn't a good enough excuse for his terrorism. It's not. I don't care if he was living and dying. I don't care if he was dying tomorrow. Like, this is horrible. You really shouldn't have done, like, one kid. Okay. But this is horrible. And it says, given that most women don't orgasm from sex with men, anything above terrible must be good sex. That part. She said, out here spreading BV and HPV. You can't tell me he's not. You can't tell me he's not. The HPV part is, you can't tell me he's not. And then, like she was talking about, we watched yesterday when they were talking about, Shan asked her about their sexual health and, like, are they getting tested and stuff like that. She's like, well, I know I am. And, I believe he does, because he has to get all this blood work done for his other stuff. That's a completely different thing. And the thing is, too, the way she was saying, like, the freedom of his, I know that she tries to talk to him about it, and he is either giving her that goofy, playful, redirecting the conversation, or just making it a thing like, you already knew what it was. I was honest with you. Whenever she tries to breach the subject of the nature of their relationship in any way that she might be unhappy. She said, like, oh, there's what did she say? Dishonesty and this and that. So what is you doing? If you going to get the same stuff with all this other bullshit, why not just wait a little bit and get monogamy? Because isn't the whole thing about being polyamorous and stuff about being free and not having the constraints and the ties of negativity and bad faith and all of that's what I thought polyamory was supposed to be about. With no need for being dishonest. There's no need for games. There's no need for bullshit. I thought that was what polyamory was supposed to be about. And like I said, it's enough on its own when it's just adults. But now you got all these babies in the midst of this foolishness. LB says, nerdy dudes seem safe when you have hella clowns on you. Listen, but that's the thing. He a clown too. He just not a scary clown. She said, that made me gag. I feel like he's the only one in the relationship allowed to step. He is. She said it. She said the freedom he has. And then he said on the thing that he was like, because the lady asked him something about sex, and he was like, well, I feel like if I'm satisfying them well enough, they shouldn't want to step out. So that's another reason why he don't want toys and stuff, because he wants them to be digmatized. He wants them to be digmatized. He wants them to believe that they have this body. He's using every weapon in his arsenal to keep them in a mindset of just him. And when all else fails, oh, well, you better get a man that can pay. You better get a man that can take care of you, because if you're messing with somebody else, I'm going to stop, That's crazy. That is so manipulative and just disgusting. Ooh. Well, that's all I got for you girls. I'm glad I'm glad you all came to join me. I'm very honored as always. Thank you so much for coming and meeting me. This is outside of our regular time. I am going to start doing more. I am going to start doing like actual recorded. She said, can we discuss the myth of being digmatized and how it's really emotional manipulation and sex is the tool? It sure is. It sure is. The whole chapter in my book was about it, but that's when I'm a little tired. I was like, I did this. That's why I ain't come on camera. My hair is a mess. Everything is all over my head. But we can talk about digmatization. I know I touched on it before, but I don't feel like it really hit like it was supposed to hit. So we definitely can get into that more. For anybody that knows, I wrote a book. It's called Level Up: The Single Mother's Guide to Reclaiming Her Dignity. I hit a lot of the subject matter that we were talking about tonight and last night in it. The link to the book, there is an ebook version and there is a paperback version. Those are both in the description of tonight's episode. So anybody that's looking for that, all of y'all that's here in the chat now can ignore this. I'm talking to the people that are watching the replay. The link to the book is in the description. Also my Cash App is in the description, and everything relevant is in the description. But you have LB. Oh, you gotta tell me how you like it. I have a Woman Chat Wednesday every Wednesday. That's how this kind of started, and then it just spilled over into today. But Woman Chat Wednesdays are Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More scheduled content is to come. Anybody who knows how. So I found like an old video camera, and I actually filmed a makeup tutorial like a couple weeks ago. But because the video camera is old, when I took the files from the SD card and got them on the computer, they're like way too big, but I can't find any kind of way to make them smaller for free. But there's going to be makeup tutorials and stuff coming. I'm going to be doing all of that stuff. So yeah, just be ready for that. But thanks for coming. I figured I'd come on since don't nobody really do nothing on Thursday. I can't wait till tomorrow. Because Damon said he's going to do, I think he said he's going to comment on that clip we were watching of that comedian. So I'm Birdman hand rubbing on that one because I want to hear it, and I'll probably have a few things to say. So thank you again, everybody, for joining me tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow in the chat, and you guys have a good night. And I'll see you Yeah, all of y'all. I see all of y'all in the Discord. All right. Good night.